Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Cinema Savvy News. It's myself, George, hosting, joined by Chris Vagana today. Tate is currently kind of on holiday / at a festival, so we are without him. However, we have a massive show today. There's literally superhero things, Star Wars things, Disney things, Transformers things. There is so much franchise stuff happening. We've got a lot to get through alongside the normal stuff like trailer talk and box office breakdown. So how are you, Chris?
I'm doing very well. Yeah, it kind of feels like another, like we did Comic-Con, we did D23, and it kind of feels like another one of those with how much news we've got. Like we have a plan for these. You've broken onto like 3 PDF pages for the news today. So we've got a lot to get through. So it's kind of good that it's only 2 of us. Like hopefully we can breeze through it as quick as we can. Although I know when we hit that Star Wars stuff, we're probably going to be speculating and talking Star Wars for probably 20 minutes or something.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Should we jump into it now? Should we go straight into it, or?
Yeah, let's go for the news. We have to start off, I guess, as usual, with someone else passing away. It's always the easiest time to do it. The original actor of Godzilla, Haruo Nakajima, I believe it's pronounced. He's passed away at age 88. For those that played him, he played Godzilla as in before the days of motion capture in the suit in 12 films from 1954 original to 1972. And he wasn't just Godzilla, he appeared in several Akira Kurosawa films, so he always had a reputation of working with the best Japanese directors at the time. And I won't lie, I thought he was probably already passed away, but it was still quite sad to see it, because when you look at the old sort of Godzilla films and behind-the-scenes stuff, it's always not funny, but there's always that, like, back then it was the biggest thing in the world, and it's always been funny with a man in a suit, but I didn't know he paid him for 12 films, so I think that's remarkable.
Yeah, and I mean, these were going to be a series of films that you were going to review at some point, weren't they? Like, you had that idea to go through the old Godzilla films. I owned like a good bunch of the old Godzilla films, but I mean, I can't remember which titles, and I don't even know if they were ones he was in. I'm guessing they were, because they did look like they were from like the 70s era or the 60s. But yeah, no, I mean, it's an actor you're not really aware of because he was under the suit the whole time, but it is good to, take notice of the person that was behind the suit. Arguably one of the most iconic like movie characters, or certainly like monsters of all time.
And as well, like, we got hyped up about Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine 9 times. And
yeah,
the same thing, someone's played this character X amount of times, 12 times and your face isn't shown once, you're behind the suit. That's extremely remarkable. So it's quite tragic, and I guess I can say, as usual, we have that really awkward pause where we jump into some news. And
for Star Wars,
yeah, let's get that tone. I don't want to sound let's get excited. That sounds such a bad thing to say after what we said, but oh well. The thumbnail is The Last Jedi. There is Star Wars news. We've already forgotten the last 1 minute. Let's talk some Star Wars, Chris. It's been, I mean, we had D23 things, but I'd say, to me, this has been the biggest batch of info since actual Star Wars Celebration and the trailer.
Certainly all in one, definitely. Like, so we had the 2 front covers of Entertainment Weekly released, as well as a whole bunch of articles and news, and even somewhat spoilers, you could say. Like, I know there's been some interviews with Mark Hamill in the extracts and other things like that. We're not going to give it. You've actually read the spoiler stuff.
I read 2 things, and I got really pissed off. One of them's minor. Like, I'd happily say that. Like, Finn is now a hero because he took on Kylo Ren. I didn't need to know that. You didn't need to know that. I'm not going to say the Luke Skywalker thing, because that really pissed me off.
Yeah, so we're not going to talk about that. We're pretty much just going to go through the 8 pictures that were released, including the covers. Oh no, we've got a lot more.
I think we've got 11, including 2 covers. So let's just start with the covers, and then we've got our own little PDF. So we're gonna maybe describe speak mildly, but we have an amazing image of Luke's kind of grey / black hood with him chilling on island, which you've also survived the trip to now.
Yeah. Barely. That crossing was fucking terrible.
it's not easy, and you had it in a storm, so I do not envy you. And then we have Rey in her signature lightsaber pose, who's also looking awesome, but I know you hate her, so let's move on. We've got a lot of images, and I guess we can vaguely talk about them. We're going to have to describe them first for people that don't have them up, but we'll start off with, for those of you that don't know what these 2 red samurais are, that's what some people think they are. These are Supreme Leaders Snoke. I think they're called Praetorian or Praetorian Guards. And basically, everyone, you either love them or you despise them. There's no middle ground. I like them. You hate them. Go for it.
They just kind of look like Ming's bodyguards, don't they? From Flash Gordon, like the suits just look so plastic, and I guess like they might be made of some kind of like. There's going to be like a whole Wikipedia article somewhere, like detailing the material and like who, who was the seamstress on the armor for them or something like that. But they just look so cheap. They don't have that sleek quality that the Imperial Guards had from Return of the Jedi and stuff like that. And I mean, they didn't really do anything. They were just there for show. They were like background characters, but their image has become so iconic. These ones, I don't know if it's like the little ridge things on the helmet or just like the plastic quality of it. I can see what they were trying to do with the design. They do look very much like a samurai kind of warrior with the armor and everything like that. And the weapons do look pretty cool, going with the sort of like dual-bladed staff thing that Star Wars has done in the past. But in terms of the actual look of them, it's going back to, it's like Force Awakens did. It's like similar but different. And, of course, you're going to think of like the Imperial Guards from the original Star Wars. I would have rather have just seen a completely new original design. Did they have to be bright red? Did they have to be shiny? No, it's just some more iconography that your brain goes back to with the original Star Wars.
See, with me, I completely get that, but Rian Johnson has already, obviously he's going to defend his film. It's his film. But I love these. I know they look more like I wouldn't say a toy, but they look like a kind of building set you'd get of like a build your own something, and they look like one of them, especially when they're entirely in the same tint of red. I like them. I think that the fact, well, one thing that Rian Johnson said, and I've always said this, a lot of people love the Emperor's Royal Guard, and this goes back to the whole canon non-canon debate. Honestly, I don't care. There'll be some people triggered typing away, well, this happened in 8,000 ABY or nonsense. But one thing Rian Johnson said, which I thought as well, they just stood there like you said, they were show. And Rian said, these guys, they need to look like the actual bodyguards. These guys have got to look like they're going to kill you, and we're going to see that aspect of them which we never saw with the Emperor's Royal Guard. So I think, and
we can't really see it very well, but are they like blades on the end? Like not lightsaber blade, they're just like straight up metal blades, don't they?
Yeah, so a couple of images got leaked, and obviously they have been inspired by the samurai. They've said that as well, but I think there's like 3 different weapons. I think one of them's got a samurai, well, not samurai sword, that's like the blade at the end. I think one of them's got a massive axe on one. There's 3 or 4 things, which means let's get a triple pack of merchandise coming out. That's precisely what will happen, but I'm intrigued because they're still delaying that reveal of Snoke. Although we've had it obviously leaked, but I will give them credit. They're still building them up, but it will be quite cool to maybe see these guys do something. I'm just going to assume that all the Snoke scenes will be with Kylo Ren, so I don't know, but...
And, all the helmets are different. Like, look at that one in the background. It's slightly ridged at the front, different to the one in the foreground, so you've got to buy all those pop vinyls of all the different designs of these Royal Guards.
Oh, there will be many. There'll be so many coming out of them bloody porgs. And then, so if we move on from the red guards, they kind of like they should belong in like an Apple store or something, don't they? Oh, I guess everyone said that with the original First Order Stormtroopers anyway. But
yeah.
Then we have an image of Ireland where Luke is doing the "get off my lawn" pose from that wife. I forgot the name. Gran Torino. Rey's turned up on his doorstep. Get off my lawn. I think that's exactly how that's going to be his first words to her. She's there, and she's obviously got herself a hood. They've obviously done something. She might have upset him, but he's not letting her in the house. I don't know. It's just, again, I think they're trying to show us so much of Luke as they can about telling us anything about him, and then they went and dropped that stupid spoiler in the article. But it's just amazing just to see the background stuff, knowing that that set's not CGI. I know that is the main thing Force Awakens they wanted to do was sets, props, practical, and they're keeping the same with this. But the fact they actually located and wanted to shoot at Skellig, so much credit for him because it was a lot of effort, and I could not imagine being any of the cast, the crew, doing that trip every day for probably, it must have been at least like a month of filming on Skellig or something like that. That would have been insane.
Cameras all the way up to the top.
Yeah, and an R2-D2 as well. They had to obviously take up keys with them, but I just can't make it to the island now in the film. It'll be the same as you. You've been there, and you're like, what bits am I going to see that I've walked on? But it's gonna be it's an okay image. It's her stuff. People were saying she's got a lightsaber in her pocket. No, that's her gun from episode 7, so they need to pipe down. But that's everything I've got to say in that picture. We'll try and breeze it because
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say that. I mean, that landscape is really unforgiving when you get there, and it's nice to see that they pick a location like this, where I'm sure that the actors, when they are going to be tired, the characters are going to be tired. That will come through as well in the environment that they're in. So that's really cool that they did that. She's got that robe around her. Maybe that's what Luke gave her at the end of Force Awakens. Like after the cameras cut, maybe he was being gentlemanly so she could stay warm on the island. I don't know, but as well, like the whoever like came up with that location when they were doing location shooting and scout and everything like that, it was really cool how they did pick this one. The fact that it was the home of many monks back in the day. They were monasteries. They set up base here. They were very secluded. They were hermits, which is exactly what Luke is. So it's smart how they've linked that, and it's something we haven't seen in Star Wars before. This kind of location. I know you kind of had Dagobah, but even then, this has a lot more. You just look at this island, even in the context of Star Wars, and you know that it has so much history, which hopefully they go into more when we get The Last Jedi out later this year.
Definitely, and I hope they do, because we do know it's the first Jedi Temple.
Is it Achto?
Achto or Anchto? Someone keeps reporting differently, but to me, and I think 90% of people that have actually seen Star Wars, it's Island or it's Skellig.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to say that as well than Achto. Just
sounds like someone sneezing, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe Luke will, and that's he sneezed into a ship, and that's how he got crashed there. Let's go next. We have something we kind of knew about, but we didn't really report on here because it's not really like an outright sort of news thing. But Kylo Ren's new ship called the TIE Silencer. We have a cool shot of that flying in space. Those that know their Star Wars, it's basically a TIE Interceptor crossed with Darth Vader's TIE Fighter from Episode 4. It's like the hybrid duo.
Yeah, and if I mean, it looks awesome, but I mean, if Poe's X-wing was the vehicle of choice to buy in 2015 Christmas time, I think this one's going to be the one come this year. I mean, it looks cool. It looks exactly like ones we've had before, but they always change them up a little bit. We had some of that with Rogue One as well. I forgot what that particular TIE fighter was called, but I mean, this looks cool.
Oh, the TIE Striker. That was so pointless. I don't even remember them properly. Oh, no, yeah, the TIE Striker. That was pointless. That was, again, merch. This is Star Wars ships that are in it. But then we have another one of Rey looking slightly confused and angry at the bottom of the stairs. Yeah, I mean, one thing I will say about the island trip, I thought someone said that I can understand why Rey didn't speak when she got to the top because they said they were knackered. I wasn't, but that was not to stereotype any North American people. Well, you might have got bombed by North Korea by the time we finished this stream tonight, but yeah, I was fine getting to the top of the stairs, but not all of you were. Next up, we have Severus Snape with a giant scar across his head from when James Potter bullied him.
Wait, is this canonical scar now? Like, what's going on with this one? Is this the change place scar? Is this
the
fine one?
This is the one where Ryan Johnson says well, it looks stupid black and across half his face, so we're going to fine tune it. And I dig it. Like, it's bigger than I thought, but he did get slashed in the face. But then part of me wonders, like, if he got sliced in the neck and his chin, like, how does that work? Because it should have been so much further into his face then. But I'm not here to talk about science for Star Wars.
And I'm just surprised that like a lightsaber across the face leaves that small. I know it's a long scar, but like how thin that scar was. I remember when that happened in Force Awakens, I thought Rey had just like straight up decapitated him.
That's what I thought. I absolutely went mental. I would never clue. I was already crying because Han Solo. I was like, wait, you just chopped Kylo Ren's head off. Like they've Darth Mauled it.
Yeah.
And then he like whimpered up. I was like, oh shit, he's alive, don't worry.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's just a villain shot, isn't it? It's just not really much to say on that one. The next one, however...
The real villain of the trilogy, Disney's money-making machine. We have Chewbacca in the Millennium Falcon, joined by a fucking porg.
Look at the look of horror on Chewbacca's face, just kind of mirrors the look of every Star Wars fan as to what these new porgs are going to do to this franchise. Going by the lighting, though, I mean, it's bright red, so it strikes, and the look of shock on their face. Is this going to be the part where someone discovers that they're on the island? Do they get off the island at some point and meet up with everyone else? It looks like they're kind of in the thick of some kind of battle here, and a porg tags along for the journey.
Or maybe the porg was being funny and pressed the red button. Oh, I don't know. I'm assuming that maybe they wanted to keep one as a souvenir to sell in Episode 9 toys as well. Or
these things are going to be like the new BB-8.
Or maybe the porg is the Last Jedi. We will find out in December.
Out of all the different alien races we've had as Jedi Masters, it's not completely out of the realm of possibility for a Porg to be have like a really tiny lightsaber.
It's more practical than that one of like an 8-foot neck, because you know that the second he goes in battle, like he's going to get decapitated by another Jedi.
Oh, what's his name? Yarrow Poof, was it? Was that his name?
I just remember him as the pizza guy from Robot Chicken.
Yes, yeah.
But no, the Porgs. Like, it's a cool animatronic thing, and I mean, they were basically the puffins off the island, and they said, okay, we'll do our own little creature. And they obviously had to make it cute to sell toys to the kids. But I will say, I don't think the Porg's the worst thing on the island, going off the next picture.
Oh, Jesus, yeah. So we've got fish turtle nuns. It's the only way I can describe them. I'm sure they're going to have some kind of alien species name. So apparently, according to the article, these two characters here, these two nuns, have accompanied Luke to the island. And I guess they're his caretakers. Like, do they wash his clothes? Do they, like, help him go to the bathroom? Like, I don't know what they do. I hate these characters. Like, the actual designs of them, they look stupid. They look like something out of, like, a really bad Doctor Who episode.
They're like a tortoise?
Yeah. The actual alien, though, is fine. Like, out of context of this scene, I could see them in Star Wars. But why couldn't Luke just go on his own? Like, were these two, like, hanging around the Jedi Temple when it was burnt to the ground by Kylo Ren and the Knights of Ren? Or did he meet up with either? I like the idea of Luke going to an island on his own, seclusion. It's kind of going with the Yoda thing from Empire Strikes Back, but that just strikes me as a more stoic and cooler way to go about things. Now it's going to be Luke and then these two fucking turtle nuns.
To plug our Game of Thrones review, you made the comment that the guards at Winterfell were like the two from Pirates of the Caribbean, and maybe these are the alien guards to the Jedi Temple. I don't lie, I'd pay to see Kylo Ren decapitate them if that scene's going to happen in the film. I mean, it's so hard to judge off a picture, but when I saw this, I was like, well, we know the Porgs are there, but you didn't need anything else. Yeah. Like, and I don't know, maybe there's more to it. Maybe they're probably going to be fine or something, but I don't feel that they needed to release this image this week. That should have been waited for the film because, you know, they look stupid. They should have released another pitch from Casino Bite or the casino stuff. But they literally just it's like a cross between like a nun and Mother Teresa on the battlefield or something. Like, they just don't belong. I don't.
That's all I can say.
Next up, we have the man John Boyega, Finn, with Rose, who is looking really scared, which is surprising me because in every single interview she is like buzzing. She is insane. She seems lovely. But he looks like he's on crutches. I won't lie. I've been on crutches enough to know that he looks like he's on crutches there. But yeah, so we have a look at Finn. Again, nothing's changed because this is set draft. And then we get a call of Finn in the cockpit to one of them new flying machines that we saw in the original trailer. And we do know via leaked merchandise that Poe Dameron is also piloting another one of those. Captain Poe Dameron with the gold teeth and dreadlocks and all that nonsense.
Yeah, for the Rose picture for me, I'm trying to think of whereabouts this will be in the movie because I think the first part will be the the Captain Phasma attack on the base, and it looks like at least during the trailer they're still trying to transport Finn as he's in the kind of incubator thing. So I think this is going to take place later in the film. The background does kind of look a little bit like Cloud City, and I know a lot of comparisons have come up, not the whole island of seclusion like Dagobah, but also where the rest of the characters are going to go, like the whole split narrative, cutting between them in danger in a casino-like city or a city environment. Maybe a bit too similar to Cloud City, I don't know. But in terms of the actual look of the characters, it's cool. And the whole piloting thing, that's another scene that when I did my reaction, I was a bit concerned about because you can see AT-ATs in the background on what looks to be like a sort of snowy, sandy planet. You know, a few sort of like hover ships taking on AT-ATs. Where have we seen that before? But, the pictures are fine. It's just I'm more worried about the narrative of the film, but I won't know until December. It's all speculation at this point.
I trust Rian Johnson. He's probably, in technical ability, the best director they've actually had work on a Star Wars film. I will say that, and especially with the Episode 9 director, who the bell is ringing, my friend. It's going to end very soon. I'd say that's everything done in The Last Jedi. Probably the longest news segment we've ever done, and that's the first bullet point. Keeping it relative for Star Wars, though, do you remember Bodhi Rock from Rogue One? Riz Ahmed, a very underrated English actor. He's in talks to join Venom with Tom Hardy, and He's rumored to play, quote, a popular Marvel character, and they have confirmed it won't be Carnage, who's obviously going to be the villain of the film. It could be anyone. It's going to be anyone in the Spider-Man universe. I really don't care. Like, just say who it is and be done with it. I don't need your fake hype.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, I haven't read the Venom comics, so I think Venom has his own spin-off comic, so I don't know if it's going to be a character tied to that storyline or a Spider-Man character. I expect it to be a Spider-Man one because they'll be looking for more crossovers and building this universe like they've tried to do every single time they try to do a Spider-Man movie. He's a great actor. I'm glad he's on board for it, but, I mean, we can't really comment until we know what character he's playing.
Definitely. And moving on from Venom, we have, this is a big one, but I feel this will be big once time confirms it. Netflix have acquired Millarworld Comics. For those that don't know what Millarworld Comics is, Mark Millar, who originally wrote many famous Marvel storylines such as Civil War, The Winter Soldier, a lot of the sort of the mid-noughties comics he did. He set up his own comic company and he created Kick-Ass, Kingsman, several other publications. I think not Jupiter Ascending, that's that terrible film, isn't it? He's got a Jupiter type something which has been bought out. He's done Wanted. He's done so many comics, and his company has been bought by Netflix. And they've come out and said we're going to be making films, TV, and kids shows with your content. And it's their first outright acquisition of a franchise. They've never done this before. They've made deals, such with Marvel, to keep sort of like the Defenders, that sort of stuff. They've always made deals with companies. They've never outright gone out and bought the rights to a company. And I'm really intrigued by this because he's one of my, well, when I used to read them, he's one of my favorite comic writers. In terms of originality, I don't think there's anyone better than him. He doesn't do pointless reboots all the time. He just goes and makes new stuff. But the biggest thing with this is they haven't said what this means for the Kick-Ass or Kingsman, because obviously there are Kingsman films coming out. We don't know if this is like a sort of Marvel / Spider-Man thing where he sold the rights to them, or if it was merely being borrowed. I don't know. No one knows. He's come out and said he's not doing an interview. He's on holiday with his family, but this could be really big, dependent on what's in the content of that purchase.
Yeah, and I mean, in terms of the works of Miller, I think they would be suited for a TV. I know we've only seen films at the moment, but even if you look at Kingsman, I could absolutely see a TV show set in that universe, whether you do a prequel, whether you do another branch of the Kingsman, whatever you do, training at the facility, anything like that, I think that would be a good TV show. Even Kick-Ass now, I'm probably one of the only people on the planet that didn't mind Kick-Ass 2. Don't get me wrong, it was nowhere near as good as the first one, but I think still as a film, as a sequel, it was fine. And that did end in a place where they could go on to a third one. And I'd like to see that, even if you don't have, oh God, what's his name? The one who played Quicksilver.
Aaron Taylor-Johnson.
Even if you don't have him or Chloe Grace Moretz come back, and I think they're at the point now where they kind of distance themselves from Kick-Ass, you could still have like a world set with superheroes set in the same universe as Kick-Ass. So the potential of this, I think it'd be, you know, really well suited for a TV show, and especially with shows that we've been seeing recently, like Game of Thrones, for example. I know that's HBO, but even with Netflix itself, the quality content they're putting out, whether it be the Marvel shows, whether it be you know, Stranger Things or a series of unfortunate events, their original content is, or adapted content, whatever it happens to be. So I think it's a safe home for it, in all honesty, and I can't wait to see what they do with it.
I've got a feeling that one of the first things they'll do is reboot Wanted as a TV series. I think that would be very wise, because it is the story of that kid becoming, well, not a kid, but the nobody in the crap office job becoming that amazing kick-ass sort of assassin. In the film, it happens so quickly and almost in this kind of montage, whereas that's the kind of story that would be done across the TV series. And you could say the same. Kick-Ass does the same. Kingsman does the same. But I feel that it's interesting from Netflix, because I wonder if now they're going to start buying up more franchises and stuff. But I'm interested from it, and I think that could be big. And I guess with Netflix, if we move on to the next bit, this is far more, I don't say interesting, but this is intriguing. Disney have announced they're going to be pulling all content from Netflix, and in 2020 they will be launching their own streaming service, which is basically going to be their version of Netflix. I don't know what to make of this, because Netflix UK, we've got very different films to Netflix US. I don't think Netflix UK has any of the Star Wars films, whereas I believe that the US one does. They had Clone Wars over in America. I think America a lot more Disney content than we do. So myself, I'm not bothered by it. But I think it's interesting that Disney are going to set up their own streaming service, and I wonder if any other companies will follow them afterwards.
Yeah, and I think I mean I don't know how to do it. I mean I don't have Netflix myself, but I know that you can get various plugins that do allow UK viewers to access the stuff that US viewers get. And I think the Disney stuff, certainly in like the family section and kids section, was a big part of it. They had a lot of Disney classics on there, but I mean Netflix has so much stuff to offer. I think those particular sections of Netflix are really going to take a hit, remove Disney. But you know, Disney slowly want to take over the world, don't they? Don't they? And Netflix is a huge competitor, and if they can set up their own thing, whether it'll take off as much as Netflix, only time will tell. But it's Disney, and with Disney's power behind it, they clearly have a lot of faith in it, and I'm sure they'll put everything into it. We might get original content, we might get some of their old content, but it just seems, you know, Disney have the power because they have the money, and if they want to, you know, pull out of Netflix, they absolutely will do that, and that's exactly what they are doing.
And
Doubt, but you know, I don't know if it's the right choice or not.
I think they're the only company that are big enough to do it as well. When you look at their franchises, what the rights they own, what they've done with TV in the past, there's so much there. But one thing we've kind of got to say is that they've confirmed that Netflix, so this really only sort of means Marvel, Netflix's original content, such as the Defenders, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, all them guys, Punisher, they will stay on Netflix because they are obviously produced by Netflix. They're created by Netflix. It's more of a deal. I'd imagine they'll probably work up some kind of rights deal to get them on both streaming services. But I mean, if Disney are planning for 2020, then God knows what else they can launch on that original channel, because they've just done so much over the last, almost 100 years, probably. I don't know when they first started doing their films, but that will be some threat, especially when you look at even like nonsense like Hannah Montana, like little 4 or 5-year-olds like that stuff, and that'll be there on demand for them. And it could, a Disney version of Netflix could be extremely dangerous the more I think about it.
But I mean, they've still got the Disney Channel, haven't they, on like Sky and things like that? But I mean, more people now are moving to streaming basis, so I'm guessing that's why they've done it, because they want to be a prominent force in that marketplace.
Yeah, they want to control the world and even take over. I don't think they'll be bigger than Netflix, but they stand a chance of doing something half interesting. Probably, I guarantee they'll start for like a new Star Wars animated series once Rebels finished. I can imagine something like that. And if we stick with Disney news, we actually have quite a few casting things to go through. So we'll start with The Lion King. The cast continues to grow. We have John Carney, who played, well, he wasn't T'Challa, was he T'Challa in Civil War? Basically, Black Panther's dad that died at the start. He's been cast as Rafiki. In all honesty, like that doesn't really faze me, because to me he just makes noises more than anything. And we have I can't pronounce the name, Alpha Woodward, who is in Luke Cage. Alfre, sorry, and so Woodard, and she's been cast as Sribi, who is the mother of Simba. So I think have they almost rounded out the main cast? I genuinely can't think there's many left.
They still haven't confirmed Scar yet. I mean, we know that Chiwetel 4 was in talks to playing, but that hasn't been officially confirmed yet. We still don't have the hyenas. But I think pretty much everyone else has been cast at this point. And I actually do want to say, I can't remember when we did it. We did a predictions video. It was on our Q&A, I think, wasn't it, for our anniversary or somewhere around that time. We were predicting who we thought. And I believe that I predicted Alfre Woodard would be cast as Sarabi. So that was one prediction I have correct after that.
Are we one each? I went for Seth Rogen, didn't I? And that genuinely happened. I still don't know how that happened, but we didn't get James Franco, which ruined the second half. But yeah, again, it's just that cast is. I mean, they're filming now. It's going to come out in 2019, but if Beauty and the Beast made over $1 billion, well, it made 1.2 billion. God knows what The Lion King is going to make. That's going to be absolutely phenomenal.
And I guess we should have been a little bit more. Seth Rogen hasn't really been in. I don't think he's been in anything Disney before this, but I think we should have been a little bit more clever with our predictions, because even these two people have still been tied into the Disney family before with Civil War, and I know that Netflix owns Luke Cage, but that's still technically Disney and Marvel. So they always seem to keep doing this with everyone they cast. You know, they keep it in the Disney family if they've been in stuff before.
Yeah, and I just can't imagine like a little kid going to Google like Seth Rogen after they watch the film, and it just comes up like Pineapple Express or something like. I'm John Oliver. That's still the main thing I'm excited for. John Oliver. Never thought in a million years that would happen, but it did, and that's amazing. Again, next up, something I almost messed up. We've had 2 casting announcements for Aladdin. They have cast Jafar and a handmaiden of I've forgotten her name. You are the Aladdin expert, not me.
Jasmine.
Jasmine.
Yeah,
I've
so
never seen Aladdin.
on the plan we had it down that Nassim Pedrad was playing Jafar, and then they were gender flipping Jafar, and it's just like getting on my Disney high horse, like this is intolerable. How dare they do this? But no, like I mean, I did look at his credits before. He had a bit part in The Mummy that came out a couple of months ago with Tom Cruise. Nothing of note that I've really seen him in, but I mean, he looks fine. I was a bit shocked at that. Years, but I thought they'd go older for Jafar because he always struck me as a lot older in the animated film. In terms of a handmaiden, though, what's her name? Nassim Pedrad. That's fine. She's going to be a bit part character. She'll probably get some funny quips in there if she's done SNL before. But the more news that keeps coming out about this Aladdin film, the more I really don't want it to get made. Lion King, I'm still kind of wish it hadn't been made, but that looks like, you know, all the casting that's come out, I've been on board with pretty much everything so far. I want to see how that looks visually. This Aladdin news just keeps getting to me every single time.
Yeah, Aladdin, I mean, I've never seen it. I don't care for it. I know the song. I know the story. And when they, not only is Will Smith Genie, which I will never be able to comprehend, because if he's going to be funny, then it's just going to be, oh, look, he's Fresh Prince. Even if he is funny, that's a gigantic if. It's just going to be him being Fresh Prince. But the issue to me comes down to, why do I always forget his name? Director.
Guy Ritchie.
Guy Ritchie, yeah, just Guy Ritchie's Aladdin is the two.
You can see it already, can't you? You can see exactly how it's
going to be like they're going to be pretending that they're in London when they're on the other side of the world. They're really not in London, but you just know that, like, I don't know, they might cameo David Beckham in it again or some nonsense like that. This is doing with Lion King. You've got Jon Favreau, who's a Disney guy through and through, to 2 Iron Man films, to Jungle Book. He's hired this amazing voice cast so far for his film, whereas the track record of Guy Ritchie, in all honesty, the only films I've seen of him I liked, the 2 Sherlock Holmes films, which I'll go on record to say is better than the Sherlock TV series of Cumberbatch. Fight me. But yeah, is that all the Disney news?
It's all the Disney news, I think.
Are you ready for some more of your childhood to be broken?
Let's do it. So more Transformers animated films are planned. I don't know if this is part of their 14-picture deal, but Boulder Media Studio, Hasbro subsidiary, has been given the task of developing the first animated film for Transformers since the 1986 film. The goal is to release an animated film of Transformers every single year. Now, at this point, there's no story or animation details or anything like that, but they have announced that, unfortunately, for me at least, these animated films will still take place in the universe that's been created by the one and only Michael Bay. I don't know how I feel about this. I'm so torn on this. On the one hand, great, I've got more animated Transformers. On the other hand, great, it still fits. We're probably going to get like animated Skids and Mudflaps because it's still in the same series.
I was going to pitch their origin story, but I would like them to do a prequel to the first Transformers film with them in Cybertron coming to Earth. Maybe I don't know that continuity. Like, they say it's got to fit in their continuity, but their continuity, like you always say, it just deletes the previous film after every new one comes out.
Well, I mean, we've got to remember they're doing the Bumblebee spin-off as well. So I'm guessing that's still going to take place in the same universe, although there was rumors that they kind of wanted that to be a soft reboot. Will the animated films be set in the 80s like the original? I have no idea what they're planning.
I don't. It'll be interesting. Like, they'll go ahead. I mean, it's cheap to make an animated film. They'll go for it straight up. I'm more intrigued to see how they do the animation in terms of, are they going to go old school or are they going to more modernize it? I've got a feeling it'll be a bit of both.
There is that mix. There was that. Was it a Disney animated short that came out with like the paper planes? I don't know if you've seen it. It was like a black and white 2D animated one, but it integrated some 3D elements. If they could do it like that, that'd be cool. I'd expect they'd just do it CGI animation, though, at this point, because all animation companies are doing it now. It's the cheap, most time-efficient way to do an animated film. I know there's still a lot of time and effort goes into it, don't get me wrong, but compared to hand-drawn animation now, CGI is just easy to do. And if they want to crank out one every year, then I expect it's going to be CGI animation.
We have a comment from Lucas McMahon. It says, I think if Travis Knight makes a great Bumblebee film, the director after that makes a great Transformers film, the animated Bay universe might not be too bad, but 2 in full caps. I kind of agree with that. I mean, all they really need is one hit and it'll be fine. But animated opens up a lot of doors where, like, the stuff they can animate doesn't require an insane CGI budget. So I'm intrigued to see what they're doing. I think animated, they can take more risks, and I think they will do some Cybertron stuff Well, I hope they do, but I can also imagine them fucking up. Speaking of fuck ups, Akiva Goldsmith, who was the head of the Transformers story group, he's now left his job after Transformers 5. No idea if he's been sacked or if he's quit, but someone asked him, he's still head of the Transformers story group. He said, no, I don't work there. And no one knows. I mean, at least he's been heard of. It's not like Disney got rid of him. But yeah, the whole 14 film structure, if their head writer's gone, then I just, it's not going to happen, is it?
Yeah, that might be the best segue in the history of this show so far. I love that. Good riddance is all I can say. Like, granted, he's not the only culprit. There was a lot more, cooks in the kitchen that ruined this Transformers series for me. Not just Michael Bay as well. Like, I kind of always pick out him because he's the chief, he's the head honcho, he's the director. But pretty much from the ground up, everything with this film was terrible. But I mean, if he's gone, if this does mean there's going to be a change of plan with the future of the Transformers films, if they are ditching that 14 film plan, going with a new tact, going with a new plan, then fair enough, because I do think that this series needs some new blood, needs some new direction in it.
What I will say is that I did make a mistake. I called him Akiva Goldsmith, where his new name is Akiva Goldman. Like his career, it's been a mistake. But yeah, I mean, he wrote Batman v Batman, not Batman v Batman and Superman. No, he wrote Batman and Robin. Jesus, how do I get that mixed up?
That is a great film. I don't know what you're talking about. I love Batman and Robin.
It's funny, but it shouldn't be. And he was a producer on King Arthur. Enough said.
Oh Jesus! Wait, which King Arthur? The 2004 one or the recent?
The new one. The new one.
Fucking Christ! Yeah.
Maybe he'll help out Aladdin now. What a role!
Absolutely.
Actually, I couldn't really get a good segue into this. Ryan Reynolds, because he seems to be the actual PR machine for Deadpool. Like, we know he's Deadpool, but they don't even need an official Twitter account for it anymore. He's released the first 2 images of Josh Brolin as Cable for Deadpool 2, and I mean, as someone that didn't like Deadpool, I'm interested in Cable. It's actually an interesting character that will be with Deadpool, so I'm excited to see how they do it. But it's Josh Brolin. He's always like a badass. He looks even more of a badass in this. I'm excited to see what they're going to do with him.
Yeah, and it's been interesting. Like, I've been going on like Facebook and stuff, like when the pictures went live, and seeing what people were thinking of in the comments. And a lot of people are really negative on the appearance and even like the casting of Josh Brolin. In the one corner, you've got some saying like he's playing Thanos. How can he play Cable as well? That's just absolutely stupid to me. Like, of course, the characters are completely different. One's entirely CGI, one isn't, and they're both owned by the different companies. They're not going to cross over at any point. So that's just stupid to me. And then other people were complaining that like he's not big enough in terms of height and bulkiness. I mean, if you look at the comic book counterpart of Cable, he is immense. He's like 7 foot something, built like a brick shit house, roided to hell and back. And of course, because that's a comic book, you're never going to be able to achieve that look unless you go completely all CGI. And of course, you can't do that. To me, I mean, I don't know how old Josh Brolin is, but I mean, at his age, to get in the shape that he has for this is incredible. And he looks like Cable. Like, I don't know what people are complaining about. What more do you want? I can see some people arguing, though. Some people, I've heard names thrown out there that they wanted not Ivan Drago, Dolph Lundgren to play him, or Stephen Lang was a popular choice. I think even by his own hand. Like, I think he put on Twitter saying that he'd love to play the character back in the day. I'm fine with Brolin. He's a great actor. I'm sure they were very careful with who they picked to play this character, to play opposite Ryan Reynolds. But I can see the negative. I can see the criticism there if people did want someone, a little bit more visually similar to the character. I think it's fine though.
Yeah, he looks fine. I'm dreading the shit Thanos jokes they're gonna do, because they're gonna do them. But Stephen Lang, who was my choice, and I still think should have played him. And I guess we can segue into really this should be a bit of Transformers news. They've confirmed that Stephen Lang, the villain that died at the end of Avatar 1, is going to be the villain in Avatar 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I wonder if they're going to kill him off 5 times. I don't know.
He's going to be like a really bad Saturday morning cartoon bad guy. It's like, I'll get you next time, Avatars. Then he just shows up with more tech. I don't know. But I mean, they've said like another dead character's coming back from the first movie, Sigourney Weaver. Spoiler, by the way, for Avatar. This is clearly going to filter into the plot, whether their spirit or their essence went into the giant spirit tree or whatever it was from Avatar, and then they're resurrected or put into a different Avatar body. I don't know. I mean, I loved Stephen Lang in Avatar. I hate that movie. His character was completely two-dimensional as all hell, but he was funny. that scene where he's just like casually sipping the coffee as they're entirely like torching like all the Avatar and their landscape was hilarious to me. I'm glad that he's back, but to me it just makes no sense. Like, there's no originality here. Like, we can't have a different bad guy in each movie. And does anyone really give a shit at this point? Like, Avatar 2, 3, 4, and 5, it was a fad, nothing more. It was a 3D gimmick when it came out. I don't know anyone that's hyped for these movies at this point. He's left it too late, essentially. Like, no one cares.
Have they ever confirmed a villain to appear in 5 films before the second one's come out? I mean, we know that Voldemort's a looming Harry Potter villain, but that's a character that's been written in the books. But it's not like J.K. Rowling come out in the Chamber of Secrets and goes, "Hey guys, Voldemort's gonna kind of be in 2. He's gonna be mentioned in 3. He's gonna be in 4, 5, 6, and 7." Like, no, like, why would you do that? It's just
that takes the tension away, doesn't it? So you're gonna go and see Avatar 2. You know he's gonna make it. Avatar 3. You know he's gonna make it.
It's like a Marvel film. Yeah. Except, do they kill their villains? I don't know. I can't remember their villains. I guess that's the difference.
I think they have, haven't they? Apart from Loki, they've pretty been pretty good at killing their villains.
They've been awful villains though. Like Stephen Lang had some scenes but I just it's such a waste. Like, he clearly, I wouldn't say it's the money. I'd say they probably want to work with. I always forget his name, James Cameron. But to commit to 4 films as a villain, is he going to turn? I can imagine now with the end of Avatar 3. You know what, guys? I was wrong. I'm a good guy now. Avatar 4. He'll turn into the villain at the end of 4 to go, "Haha, I'll be back next time."
Here's the thing as well. Like, I mean, I can't remember what year they said Avatar's going up to. Like, by the time that all 5 are finished, but if he's going to be in all of them, and I know he's in great shape and he's rocking his age, but the guy's 65 right now, and I don't know how many more years these Avatar films are going to go on for. Like, he's going to be well into his 70s probably by the time this franchise is finished. Like, will he still be able to do it? Probably with a miracle of CGI and a great stunt doubles, they'll get away with it. But
I think they're doing Avatar 2 and 3 back to back, and then 4 and 5 back to back, and they're trying to compare it to Lord of the Rings, but that's really stupid. Yeah. Because one was actually filmed in New Zealand, the other was done in a studio.
I guess you could compare it to The Hobbit then. They were 3 films back to back, filmed it almost entirely on a green screen.
Oh, could we get a 3D IMAX GoPro being shoved in a barrel scene? I don't know if we can get that low. But yeah, there's your Avatar news. That's why I was about to speak about that film. God knows. Here's the real question: will Avatar get delayed again? My best yes. Yeah. Speaking of other old things that need to leave, Daniel Craig. Well, there's a rumor going around. Coming from The Sun. For any Americans that know what The Sun is, it's a piece of shit newspaper in England. And the thing is, tabloids never talk about film over here, which normally when they do, it's scary because there's a bit of half-truth to it, but I don't think this one is. They've said that Daniel Craig is apparently on for 2 James Bond films. The second will be, this is in their article, a sort of remake of On Her Majesty's Secret Service that would involve him leaving the franchise at the end, having a wife who dies. This isn't going to happen. This is fake news. We already basically know he signed on for 1 film, but I'm scared that they probably would do something stupid trying to make Her Majesty's Secret Service, though, to give him a farewell. That's what scared me most.
Well, the thing that I noticed about this, I mean, on Her Majesty's Secret Service, anyone who's a Bond fan knows the ending of that film, but they kind of did something similar with the character of Vesper, Eva Green's character. Yeah,
that's what I thought as well. That's Daniel Craig's one.
Yeah,
that made him into the character of James Bond. They don't need another love story.
And, they put their own spin on it. Spoiler alert: at the end of On Her Majesty's Secret Service, he gets married and then she gets instantly assassinated. Whereas in whereas in Casino Royale, it turns out she was double crossing him, and then it leads to this whole other bit for the ending of the film. They've kind of done that, and I don't see Daniel Craig's Bond, his take on Bond, ever getting to that point. Like, he feels like a more weathered Bond, like that's completely out of the realm of possibility for him. And even with Vesper's death, like, he kind of swears off that whole thing, doesn't he? At the end, he's like, he puts aside all his emotion. Yeah. Like, and Judi Dench's character says, put aside your emotion and just be Bond. Just go on these missions and do all these things. I really don't see Daniel Craig doing 2 more Bond films. No. I was surprised that he's doing 1 more after Spectre. But they are going to have to drag him back kicking and screaming, even more so than they've already had to do for his next one.
I think it'll be 1 and gone. I always knew he'd come back for the one after Spectre, because he always had a 3-picture contract that he signed before Skyfall, which for some reason no one ever used to speak about. But he'll be gone, and then Lord Nolan will come in with a new Bond, a new reboot. But that's what scares me even more, because we are getting new distributors as well. So maybe they'll be like, okay, we'll take one, but we want a reboot after the next one. So I feel like they could do a closing storyline for Daniel Craig, but I don't know. But I think it's like the third week in a row he's got in the news.
Yeah.
They'll announce everything formally soon. I don't know why they're taking so long, but they know what they're doing. We've got a release date and stuff. Director will come next, and I guess the cast will. Speaking of, well, no, we do like this bit of news. We've not been completely negative today. Sylvester Stallone is talking about Creed 2 again on Instagram. And for anyone that doesn't follow Sylvester Stallone on Instagram, he's one of them with like full caps, and like he's clearly enjoying having social media. Like he's new to it. He's one of them. And he sent an Instagram post out of a notebook covered in like paper cutouts, all that stuff. And I got the English out of his description of it. And basically, he said that he's written a 439-page for script 2. He's written a 439-page script for Creed 2. And I shot myself from there. Thought, Christ, he's like Avatar 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Epic, yeah.
And then he says, on a typed screenplay, this is 120 pages, so a bog standard script. And then he basically said something about punching Ivan Drago in the film, and there's notes everywhere of Ivan Drago. It's like the build-up to bringing back your villain, except we always knew this was probably going to happen when you got a Creed film.
Yeah.
I can't wait for it.
I love Stallone on social media. Like he always stirs the pot, doesn't he, with fans? He knows exactly how to do it, and he's done it.
When he sacked Bruce Willis, and he was there from Expendables. It's like, Willis is out, Ford is in. I think everyone's like, "Whoa, you've just been Bruce Willis, what a hero!" And then he's like, "You just got Harrison Ford in as well." Like that was like a double whammy into one tweet. Full caps.
No, he's smart. I love his social media, and any Creed news that comes out, I'm always over the moon. He did post a while back though that he was planning. Well, he put a picture of Marion Cobretti, his character from Cobra. So I'm still waiting on confirmation of a Cobra 2. Still waiting on that. But Creed 2, absolutely over the moon. I adored Creed. I thought it's probably the best soft reboot I've ever seen of a franchise. I want to see more of that character. I want to see more Stallone as Rocky. And God willing, I want to see more Ivan Drago.
I wonder if Ryan Coogler will come back, because Creed 2...
I really hope so.
Creed 2 has been, I wouldn't say delayed, but I would have... I mean, when did it come out? 2014 or... It was 15, wasn't it? 2015?
15.
That's 2 years ago now. And I thought that Creed 2 would have been out in 18. But the fact that they're on script duty still, and we've got Ryan Coogler's next film out in February, I genuinely wonder if they're going to try and bring it back, because obviously Michael B. Jordan's going to have to be in it as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if he wants to try and get Ryan Coogler back. I'd love that, because I think he's a great director. Unless he wants to obviously do a Black Panther 2 after. But it'll be interesting to see who they want to get. But the fact that they're going to bring Ivan Drago back is going to be amazing. Just that scene, the reunion between them, it's going to be something. At the end of the day, like, he murdered the main character's dad. So at least that's in it as well.
Part of me is like, you know, like how Creed went more realistic. It was following the footsteps of Rocky Balboa, or maybe like the first 2 Rocky films. And they touched on stuff that happened in Rocky 4, but not really, because Rocky 4 is like that crazy, wacky 80s one. Like they're full on embracing it now with the next one, and that really interests me. But what I will say is, I was just looking at the release dates for the original Rocky franchise, and it was 3 years apart until you got to Rocky 4 between 5. So 3 years, I think, is a good enough gap between the two. You can kind of say that it gives the characters a bit more evolution time in between, you know, in the narrative. So I'm fine with that, but I do want to hear some confirmation soon of an actual release date.
Next up, we're on the sort of smaller stuff now that we can fly through. We've been on it a long time. Miller, I can't even pronounce his surname. The one from Resident Evil has been cast as the villain in the Hellboy reboot. Depends on called the Blood Queen. I've never read the comics, never seen the original films. I don't care. Do you?
I did see the original films. The first one was okay. That's probably the best one. The second one I couldn't stand, although I know it has a fan base and people wanted to see Del Toro complete his trilogy. I've never read the graphic novel. I've never read any graphic novels of Hellboy, so I don't know who the Blood Queen is. I'm assuming she's a pretty big deal if they're going with that as the main villain. Jovovich can be a solid actress. I know she's done some questionable things with like the Resident Evil films, but she is solid. Although I don't know if her character is very similar to the style of the character that she plays in Resident Evil. I don't know. I think they also did a title drop as well. There were rumors that it was going to be called like Revenge of the Blood Queen or something like that, but they've gone on record and said that it's just going to be straight up called Hellboy. Hellboy 2018, 2019, whenever it's coming out.
It's just stupid. Speaking of reboots that no one actually wanted, well, it's not really a reboot. Lionsgate want to make more Hunger Games and Twilight films. I do not,
Christ.
because they didn't realize Twilight was 10 years ago and everyone's grown up since. Most people have forgotten about the Hunger Games now. The Fappening destroyed J-Law's popularity. I genuinely believe that happened because even X-Men don't care about her anymore. Lionsgate CEO says, wait for it, this is, what's his name, who does the amazing quotes every week that we talk about these days? It's Ridley Scott. This could have been a Ridley Scott quote. Speaking about potential Hunger Games Twilight films, the Lionsgate CEO says, there are a lot more stories to tell. When we're ready to tell them, when the creators are also ready to tell them, we will tell them.
Sounds like a Jaden Smith tweet.
Oh, no, it's too long. Jaden Smith would be like, the creators are to tell. It would be like that, just on its own. Hunger Games. I loved Hunger Games. I loved the books or the first two films. Despised Mockingjay. Didn't like the Mockingjay book as well, but they milked that franchise dry. Twilight. I have the guilty pleasure. Well, not guilty pleasure, but I have the guilty confession that I saw the first 3 films. I don't care. I don't think many people will actually care about any of these coming out anymore. I just feel like Lionsgate have run out of franchises. Their money's on the down low, and they're just probably going to try and pocket up some money. They're going to do a Sony. They're just trying to get their money back, but I don't think anyone really cares. That's just a CEO trying to get some board money coming in.
Well, I'm just looking at like Lionsgate as a company. You've got all these other ones like, you know, Disney, Warner Brothers, Universal. Like they all have some kind of franchise. Lionsgate really don't after Hunger Games. Like Hunger Games made big money. Twilight made big money. At this point, in terms of franchises, what can you say Lionsgate have got? Like they've got Power Rangers, which is still undecided if they are definitely making a sequel or not. I know it's in talks. And they're rebooting Saw later this year, which who knows if that's going to take off again or not. Other than that, they have nothing. Like Hunger Games and Twilight would be an absolute cash cow if they did go back to it. But the thing is, they've completed the books, so you're into like original story territory. And this isn't like Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, where J.K. Rowling, the original writer, comes in and pens a 5-movie script. Clearly, with a plan, she knows what she's doing. She's got a story to tell. This is purely just for money gain, and it would be fucking awful if they did that. If they some kind of spin-off set in the same universe, it's just Lionsgate wanting more money, essentially.
I don't think it'll happen. The fact that he basically really wanted it to happen, but the book publishers clearly don't, says a lot, but I wouldn't be surprised if they try and get a way around it. Hunger Games was the only one where you could have milked it, but you know they'd have milked it to something like they'll do a story for each district. But Hunger Games is the only one where you could have done some cool stuff, maybe like a young... I don't want to give them ideas, but you could have done like young some of the Hunger Games because there's 75 of them. But let's not give them ideas to 75 more films. Speaking of something good, something interesting, there's a release date for the new Alex Garland sci-fi film called Annihilation. For those that don't know who Alex Garland is, he, I believe, wrote Dredd. We know that. He wrote and directed Ex Machina, easily one of the best sci-fi films of the century so far. And his next film is coming out in February 23rd next year. And it's took over the Pacific Rim release day slot. So I don't know if it's the same company doing them both. I doubt it, but it's starring Natalie Portman and Oscar Isaac. Obviously, Oscar Isaac works with him on Ex Machina. But I am going to be very excited to see this if he's doing another sci-fi film. Yeah,
me too. And I mean, just looking at Natalie Portman and Oscar Isaac, that is a powerhouse duo for a cast for your lead actors.
Padme and Poe.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I mean, in terms of that, I haven't read the novel. I don't know anything about it, in all honesty. But the fact that Garland's attached to it has made me excited, especially after Ex Machina.
Definitely. And then we've got Tim Miller, the director of Deadpool, has been linked to direct a film called Neuromancer. Apparently, it's a really famous cyberpunk novel from the 80s. Don't even know what cyberpunk is. That feels like it's like some hybrid that some creep that likes animes like probably put together on the internet or something.
Cyberpunk could be like Tron?
No.
Maybe?
That's not punk.
I don't know.
It's more Tron's more like cybers and just that computer stuff. But the punk thing, I'm just there like, well, is it going to be like some guy with spiky hair, but the spiky hair is actually like a metal rod sticking out of his head?
Probably.
I don't know. But apparently it's a famous novel. I've never heard of it. That might just be me. Speaking of other shit news, they're releasing a documentary on Call of Duty. I'm not going to say the name of the title yet because it is literally, one of the worst things I've ever heard in my life. For those that don't know what Call of Duty
that's
is,
not the actual. I thought you were joking. That's not the actual
that's
title.
the real
is it?
title. For those that don't know what Call of Duty is, I guess it's technically the highest selling franchise of all time now in games.
Until they went to space.
Yeah, the first one came out in 2003. They were grounded World War games, and they basically made online a thing for consoles. I'll give them credit. The first kind of 3, maybe 4 from COD 4 onwards. That's what the short name is, COD for Call of Duty, for those that don't know. So weird trying to talk like I've never heard of it. And it has, to its degree, changed gaming for better or worse. They basically invented DLC with this, which we now have all paid the price for. Literally. And it's an unofficial documentary, but they have behind-the-scenes interviews from developers across the entire franchise history. It's going to be on iTunes, Demand, and all that nonsense next month. It's going to get a Blu-ray and DVD release as well. Obviously, there's a new Call of Duty game coming out in November, which is going back to the World War II roots, but they will do a way to fuck it up. And while we're speaking of fuck-ups, the name of this documentary is Codumentary. Should we move on?
You know, there's going to be some guy that turns up there with like fishing tackle and like bait and everything, and be really fucking disappointed when this documentary starts and you realise it's not what he signed up for.
It's been the 4-year-olds come in like, Daddy, it's Call of Duty. Will you buy me? Like, of course I will, son. It's only retards in space. Oh no, it's a World War one this time. Well, at least we can educate them, and they'll find a way to fuck it up. Still, of course they will.
Yeah.
Call of Duty was amazing. This isn't our generation being old people. It went from a very serious, dramatic, incredible game and community to a degree. The prestige and all that stuff was great. And now apparently you can like run up the walls. They dab. You get your own color systems. They went to space. I believe it's become I think the trailer for last year's one, Infinite Warfare, was the most disliked video on YouTube ever. And there is an amazing Pirates of the Caribbean video meme that was created after, which please enjoy. I'll put it in the description. Please look at the Pirates of the Caribbean Call of Duty meme. But when they first mentioned there's a COD documentary, I thought that'd be half intriguing, and then the title of it is just like, no, I'm not. No.
Yeah, no, I won't be watching it. And in all honesty, like I think I've played 2 matches on Call of Duty Black Ops 2. That's it. That's been the extent of my Call of Duty gameplay. I've seen some of the old ones played on PS2 and things like that, the World War ones. But in terms of actually me holding a controller playing Call of Duty, I played like 2 matches on Black Ops 2.
I had I had COD. I had the original CODs. Then when it got to the PS3 era, I had Call of Duty 4, 5, Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 1. Then I think I did Modern Warfare 3 when I was a bit like, oh, this is getting a bit crap. And then with the PS4, when that came out, I bought COD Ghosts, which was a mistake. I traded in within a month, and I haven't bought a COD since. I think
it's just over saturation, wasn't it? It's just
yeah,
it was popular. We see all AAA franchises do that.
It's now become a kids' game, and that's what terrifies me. If anyone that cares about gaming, just go and buy Battlefield 1. The opening scene of that actually describes what doesn't describe you. I put in the characters as 6 people from World War One, and you actually realise not what war is because it's a game still, but it's a bit of realism. It's not dabbing the camera and that shit. But the less about Call of Duty these days, the better. Another one. We've got 3 news bits left, people. This has been so long. This is going to be probably the longest one. Amazon Productions, obviously it's also the website, have acquired the rights to a film on Lucille Ball, who I believe is a famous actress, and Kate Blanchett has already been attached to, she's going to be playing her. I looked at what she looks like. She looks actually exactly like her. Kate Blanchett in a film being written by Aaron Sorkin, based off real life, about a film being made. Oscars. It's probably going to be the end of next year's Oscar season. So yeah, they haven't got a director yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if they just get someone just to get me an Oscar quickly. Go, and they'll do it.
Kate Blanchett's amazing. Anything that Aaron Sorkin writes is absolute gold. Which reminds me, I really need to watch Steve Jobs again at some point. I loved that film when that came out. I think it was 2015, wasn't it? I'm sold. I'll go and see it. This will probably get I don't know, a release date or anything like that. It'll probably get towards a December release, won't it, or whenever it is for Oscar season. Yeah,
definitely. It'll be next year's because it's in production. Yeah. Well, if the script's done, then it's just literally finishing the cast, getting filming dates. And I think, to be fair to Amazon, I think did they technically publish that Manchester by the Sea? I think that was an Amazon film, and that obviously did take Best Supporting Actor and was nominated for quite a few things. So, Amazon have actually probably overtaken Netflix in terms of the Oscar game. But yeah, it's interesting to see that platform. We've got some fun news now. Do you remember The Amazing Spider-Man 3 and The Sinister Six? They were going to make that into a film. well, Mark Webb, who wasn't hired from his ironic surname, he was talking about his time making Spider-Man films and his future ambitions for what would have been. And he had a really good detailed article, to be fair. It's actually quite funny reading it because it's absolutely jokes. But summed up, he says, looking back, he wouldn't have changed anything about Amazing Spider-Man 2. I would give him so much respect for saying that in public. He says he just would have taken the criticism on board and changed his approach to Amazing Spider-Man 3. He then also said that his goal was Sinister Six. That's why they were going to do a Sinister Six film before Amazing Spider-Man 3. And that the aim was for Chris Cooper, who remember played Norman Osborn for one scene before he died of goblinitis. There was an original deleted / credit scene where his head was in a box and carbon freezing. His head was obviously going to come out of the box and jump onto a Green Goblin to become the Green Goblin. And he said, in hindsight, we were probably looking too far ahead of the Amazing Spider-Man 2, but I would have liked to have been this. Then they got the box standard question, have you seen Spider-Man Homecoming? To which he replied, no. But I did see Wonder Woman, which was fantastic.
Says everything you need to know right there.
Yeah. In all honesty, I'd have rather actually seen Amazing Spider-Man 3 in a Sinister Six film than Homecoming.
Yeah.
Because at least,
I liked Garfield.
They're bad. Yeah, it's Amazing Spider-Man 2 is a bad film. I didn't mind. The first one's really bad looking back at it now, but I didn't mind them when it came out. They just did too much of Amazing Spider-Man 2, but I just want to see Sinister Six, and at least you would have had the Sinister Six, whereas, of Homecoming, they're just going to be like shit and witty. But I personally feel that Sony destroyed Mark Webb when he tried to make those films.
Yeah, it did. And I mean, a lot of it was, even by our own admission when we did the Spider-Man reviews, 10 years on, we were still sore that they cancelled one of our favourite superhero series of the time after Spider-Man 3. But I just love in this how he says, he would have just taken on the criticism and changed things up in Amazing Spider-Man 3, which would result in, fucking Norman Osborn's head in a box being used as a plot device, as an actual plot device. So...
Isn't that Justice League? Isn't that just boxes? And that's now MacGuffin. Trigger DC fans.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't trigger the DC.
The dislikes are coming. What should we go for the final? Do you want to talk more about Spider-Man? Or
no, I'm done. I'm just.
Let's finish with maybe the best joke. Jeremy Renner would like to play Born Again. And there's not a single person in the world that cares. Even typing that was more effort than it needed to be. Jeremy Renner. Either you just confirm that you're going to die in Age of Ultron, you're looking for a new franchise to headline again, not Age of Ultron, Infinity War, or you genuinely want to play not Jason Bourne, or you want to play Bourne. Don't know. Poor man James Bond, I'll always say.
I feel so bad for Jeremy Renner because he's constantly playing the character I never give a fuck about. Like in Jason Bourne, I don't give a shit. No one gave a shit. It's Matt Damon and the Matt Damon only. In Mission Impossible, he plays probably the most least interesting member of the entire team.
Oh, I forgot he's in that.
Yeah, exactly precisely my fucking point. And then you've got Avengers, and does anyone really give a shit about Hawkeye? There's going to be the one guy watching this right there who puts his hand up that cares about.
Yeah,
Hawkeye.
That's me. I liked him I like him in the second one. He was really funny the first time I saw it, and then I got off the Age of Ultron hype and was like, well, he's maybe one of the only good things about it.
Yeah,
that is the news.
That is the news.
That's more than Comic-Con, D23, all of them. This is, I think, it's the fact we had so many major news points this week, and then we normally would get like 2 of them a week max, but we have 5.
Star Wars just tanked it. That was the news. But to counterbalance that, we've got a much more shortened trailer talk, which I'm sure a lot of people will be thankful for.
Yes. The first one isn't a trailer; it's a music video for. Has anyone seen Guardians of the Galaxy 2? Of course you have. Of course you stayed for the 6 credit scenes. The final song, Guardians Inferno, which Hasselhoff sings, James can finally release the music video for it, and it did not disappoint. Have you got a reaction coming out for this? I don't actually know. I did tell you.
I've recorded all the reactions for these trailers today, apart from Wonder. That one slipped my mind, apparently. So you're going to have to cover that one. But yeah, no, I've recorded all the reactions for it. I'll be trying to edit one tonight. Expect them up over the weekend at some point. But yes, no. I'm going to be very brief with this one because I talked more in depth about it for my reaction. But this was a lot of fun. I think in terms of a marketing strategy, it's really clever. It's really fun. And in terms of other David Hasselhoff music videos, it reminded me of the True Survivor one that was made for Kung Fury, which was the YouTube movie set in the 80s. I preferred that song a lot more, but it was fun seeing the whole cast in 70s guys and 70s porn stashes and all that stuff. It was fun.
Yeah, it was. It's just a lovely throwback. It's different marketing. It's a bit fun. It was funner. I'm not going to spoil the cameos, but you had a lot of the core cast there. I will say there's no Vin Diesel or Bradley Cooper, which to me, I don't think any of the actual main guys really see them as part of the cast because they're not there on set. They just do the voices in the studios. And I always remember hearing they reckon there's a bit of beef with James Gunn and Marvel. Well, there's clearly not because they get on, but they always believe that he wanted Sean Gunn to voice Rocket Raccoon, but they wanted Bradley Cooper for that star status. And I've never seen Bradley Cooper market to this day. But at least then they gave Sean Gunn an extended role in the next film because he does motion capture Groot. No, he motion captures Rocket as well, doesn't he? But the music video is absolutely great. It's phenomenal. It's exactly what it should be. And they just released an amazing behind-the-scenes video of how they did it, and it's just bonkers. It's exactly like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Also, if you watch it, anyone at home, don't bother checking your internet connection when you watch it. It's in naturally shitty, low-res quality when you watch it.
Yeah, or watch it in 360p for the era.
I did. That's exactly what I did. That's all my internet can handle.
And then we had maybe the best show of the week so far, a 1-minute TV spot was released for Kingsman. I went like the first two Kingsman trailers. I haven't actually liked that much. They haven't really sold. I know what the film's going to be about, but I didn't get that classic Kingsman vibe. It felt like sequel, big explosions. Let's go get the Americans to help us. Whereas this TV spot felt the most like the Kingsman of the first film, and I was already behind the film, looking forward to it. But for a 1-minute spot, it ticks all the right boxes, and it's got me excited again.
Yeah, although it's a TV spot, it is essentially a trailer, like just over 1 minute. It's the best one we've had so far. You can kind of start tying more plot details together now. It looks like Julianne Moore's maybe got some kind of whiskey bombs that she's using to blow up places with. We see more of Pedro Pascal, see more of the action scenes. The action looks like it's ramped up to 11 compared to the first movie, which was all, I mean, that church scene, my God, like how are they going to top that? But no, I thought the TV spot was solid. I did have a reaction. I've done a reaction to the trailer too as well. But I kind of feel you on that. Like it didn't really get me as jazzed as the TV spot did.
The next one, I actually haven't seen. The trailer for Mother was released, which is the new Paul Thomas Anderson film starring Jennifer Lawrence and Javier Bardem.
Thomas Anderson?
No, not Paul Thomas Anderson. That's
Darren Aronofsky.
That's the one. Aronofsky. Paul Thomas Anderson's got the new Daniel Day-Lewis film, which hasn't had a trailer yet, and it's getting close. We should have one very soon. Sorry, I always get those two mixed up.
Yeah, no, this one is now right up there, probably in my top 3 anticipated movies for the rest of this year. I've been clamoring for a decent like horror film or psychological horror film for so long now. Like the Conjuring films were fine, Babadook, all that stuff. This looks like it will be like edge of your seat. And so I hate that phrase, but it genuinely was. The trailer, how it's edited with the use of sound, and if anyone's seen Requiem for a Dream by Aronofsky, I think that won the Academy Award for editing. And if he can implement that style of editing or a style of editing that works for the movie that he's making, it's going to be really terrifying. You get Ed Harris in there, Michelle Pfeiffer, this mysterious couple that visit Jennifer Lawrence and Javier Bardem. Bardem looks like he's sort of channeling Jack Nicholson from The Shining and going slowly more insane. We don't really know what the entire story is about. It leaves a lot to the imagination, a lot of questions that haven't been answered yet. But this has definitely got my attention. This is way up there now in terms of film that I've got to see this year.
And then we had a second trailer for Wonder. For those that don't know what that is, it's the new Jacob Tremblay film, that little kid that everyone loves from The Room. Right. I feel this is an Oscar, so essentially it's about a kid that's born with facial deficiency, and it's a kind of a family comedy, they're saying, but it's one of them lighter toned, but in the background they're looking at the Oscars based off a novel, and it's just about him trying to overcome that with his childhood with the parents as well. It's got Owen Wilson in it, so it's him trying to be dramatic, but he's gonna put a wow, yeah, exactly. It looks fine. I'm not the biggest fan of Jacob Tremblay. I know he's a kid and stuff, but I'm intrigued to see what this does. It's got a November release date, so I think they are going to slowly try and push it towards Oscar season. But it's probably one of those films that will be a lot more emotional watching it, especially when it's got some. It's not based on a real life event, but the one that published the book had an incident with a child with facial deficiency, so they wrote a book in order to kind of spread the word and stuff. So it's one of those.
Mm-hmm. So that rounds off. I think that finishes trailer talk, doesn't it?
Yeah, our shortest everyone doing it. We have, as usual, to finish a box office breakdown, which I love and I fly through. It's always fun laughing at some of these, especially when you get bombs like the Dark Tower. It debuted at number 1 with 19 mil. I think it did have a lower Rotten Tomatoes score than its opening weekend. I actually don't know, but that's actually jokes if it does. How do we say about this? I haven't seen it. Well, it's not out in England yet, of course. We get it the 18th. I don't think anyone's excited for it. It's another awful Stephen King adaptation. I think that's what the tone everyone said about it. What's more interesting, it got a 90 million opening weekend, but on Monday, it already got overtaken by both Dunkirk and the Emoji Movie on its Monday figure. So I feel that this 19 mil is going to be its best weekend, and it's probably going to now just fizzle out that the only people watching on week one were Stephen King fans. That's how I genuinely feel that that film's gone.
I mean, of course, I'll be seeing it next week because, you know, reviews, but no one's going to go and see that movie. I'm seeing Dunkirk again tomorrow. Can't wait for that. By the way, go and see Dunkirk if you haven't seen it already, or even if you have, go and see it again.
Yeah, and speaking of Dunkirk, for its third weekend, it had 17 mil. To put that into perspective, it got 2 million less, and it's been out for 2 weeks more than Dark Tower. And is it on a smaller? Is it? I don't actually know the Dark Tower budget. It might be 70, but Dunkirk's 100. But the fact it's third weekend, it dropped 35%. That's a really good hold. Normally, films tend to drop over 50s as each week goes by, but I think Dunkirk's dropped 47%, a 35%, which is really strong. It's on 320 mil worldwide at the minute on 100 mil, off 100 mil budget, so it's almost trebled its returns. It's solid. It's worth watching. Go see the IMAX.
I'm going to be a fact checker now. So Dark Tower was done on a budget of 60 mil. And in answer to your question, it's currently on 18% on Rotten Tomatoes. So one less.
I don't know if a film's ever actually done that. I'm sure that the big release is certainly not. Dunkirk. Well, no, we're starting to talk about Dunkirk. The Emoji Movie. Yay. Hashtag emoji, whatever the fuck you want.
Still haven't seen that. Comment if you want me to see that movie. I'll do it because I hate myself.
It's dropped to number 3. It got 12 million weekends, and it's on 66 million worldwide. At least we can say that's bombed, although it has got Patrick Stewart voicing shit in it. I'm sure he just did it for the laughs. The fact that that's overtaken Dark Tower on Monday makes you concerned about how much the Dark Tower is actually going to drop off this week.
Yeah. The one thing Emoji Movie's got going for it is it's the only animated film at the cinema at the moment. I think there's Captain Underpants as well.
Yeah, that's like decent actually. Yeah,
and Cars 3 is kind of clinging on as well, although that didn't do great either.
And then we had Girls Trip, that film that came out of nowhere that a lot of people saw, and number 4 of 11 mil, another strong weekend for it. 90 mil domestic. It's not bad for a film that's budgets, I think, it's an original film, and it's just been that summer underdog that's kind of done all right. Fair play to that. Kidnap, which is the Halle Berry film, which I thought came out 2 years ago, but apparently genuinely got delayed for like 2 years in a row. That ends at number 5 of 10 million.
The running time for that movie is like 70 minutes.
I'm not surprised. Does anyone care about Halle Berry anymore? I haven't seen this since X-Men Days of Future Past, and she come out and says it's unfair they've recast Storm. So you're not 20 though, are you? Well, she blamed an age. No, sorry, she blamed an age thing, but it was because they cast a teenage Storm for the reason that it was a teenager.
I think Famke Jensen did the same thing for Jean Grey as well, which is just stupid.
Although neither of them are good as Jean Grey, in my honest opinion. Although one of them is born near me, but I can't really talk about that. I don't really talk about low numbers, but this is interesting. Detroit, which I'm really looking forward to, which has been shafted in England. I think we get at the end of August, but there's some really bizarre, odd screenings going around the next few weeks. That's entered at number 8 with 7.1 mil. It's had a wide release. However, I don't know how wide because I feel that that's a film that would make a lot more money. However, it is an Oscar film. It's a Catherine Bigelow film. And I think a lot of people, they're not comparing it to Hurt Locker in terms of it's going to win the Oscars, but the Hurt Locker, her Oscar-winning film, its biggest weekend was 1.9 million, and that was in August with the summer release. So I feel that this is a project that they won't care about the money that's made. I feel that when this hits December, this will be on the for your consideration posters, but I really do want to see this because it looks amazing. And obviously it does have John Boyega, which always helps. But it's got a great director, cast, reputation. I want to see it, and I just don't know what they've messed up the UK release dates for.
Yeah, we're going to have to keep a lookout for this one because my local cinema, different cinema chain to you, is very similar in that, they only had one screen and it was like really late at night, like impossible for me to get to at that time. It's a shame because I saw the trailer for it and it honestly looked like one of the most tensest films of the year, hands down. And the reviews that I have seen have been unanimously positive all across the board. I really hope it does get a slightly wider release if it is the end of this month. I'll have to keep an eye on it. But I mean, if it comes out, if we can get to see it, we'll get a review out for it, absolutely, because it's definitely one to watch.
And then quickly, I've got some, this is new, noteworthy. Although this is me where I can write notes on the schedule. So I've got 3 things to report because these are kind of major, but they're not part. A Chinese action film came out 10 days ago called Wolf Warriors 2. It's grossed the equivalent of $530 million in 10 days, and is now the highest grossing film at the Chinese box office. For worldwide consideration, it's already the 10th highest grossing film of the year, and if it's gonna probably go 600, 700, which is mental. The one that came out last year called The Mermaid was their biggest ever film, and that was really bizarre. But Wolf Warriors 2, it just sounds abysmal, but you just know that that's their kind of film.
Wouldn't it be great if there was no Wolf Warriors 1 and this is just like the first one? They've just called it Wolf Warriors 2. Just to fuck with people.
I really hope someone famous is in it. Like, I don't know, but I don't really care. But we probably won't even get it released over here, but it's just mental how much money like that can make over there. Another quick one, Despicable Me 3 is to cross 900 mil this weekend. That's just creeped up. It's not made as much as its previous two films, but 900 mil still puts it, I think, third or fourth highest grossing film of the year so far, which is insane. And then to appease some of the feminists, we've got Wonder Woman news that it crossed 400 million at the domestic box office. However, they get upset if you say the worldwide total is 794 million because it has been outgrossed by 4 other films this year, but it has to be known that the domestic box office has done really well. So kudos to that. It's done 794 mil worldwide, and it's not going to get to 800. So please don't cry. I'll give movies. Weekend preview. This is fun. Annabelle Creation comes out this weekend. It's going to debut with 25 to 30 million. The real battle is Dunkirk v Dark Tower for number 2. Dunkirk's probably going to take number 2. Yeah. Maybe Dark Tower if something goes wrong, but that's the box office. It's been a very slow few weeks. It's just that we said this for ages. August is a dead month. It's essentially going to be Dunkirk holding on, and that's literally what's happening now. It's holding on, and unfortunately, we haven't been able to talk about things like Planet of the Apes because they fucked up its release date. That should have come out in August. It should have made a lot more money. But yes, that has been this week's episode of the news. We have been on for maybe our longest episode, and the fact there's only 2 of us says a lot more. Like, if Tate was on, we could at least add an extra 40 minutes just from a third opinion on everything. But as usual, I'm going to do that awkward and prepared segue off where I'm going to say that we have so much content coming out now that you just need to like, share, comment, subscribe to us, press that bell button to get your notifications. Like Chris said earlier, he's recorded a lot of reactions. They'll be going up in the coming days. We hopefully have a review coming out very soon. I really hope we've got a review out this weekend, but the UK cinema release it's an absolute mess at the minute. They've even screwed up the Atomic Blonde showings around here as well, which is ridiculous. So I haven't even seen that. What else do we have? We have tomorrow. We have a new episode of Film Club going up, which is you and Tate talking about The Truman Show. We also have 2 Battle of the Brackets apparently come out in August, but we need to organise dates for them. We need to
organise those really quickly.
I guess we can say that we're doing 2 for a reason. They're matching. We do the most underrated film of all time and the most overrated film of all time. So we want to back them up. There's going to be a lot of trigger. There's going to be a lot of tears. That's going to be very fun when we get to that. But yeah, this has been another episode of Cinema Savvy News. Have you got anything else to
say? Game of Thrones Tuesday. If you're a Game of Thrones fan, if you're a TV fan, Tuesday, usually about 9 p.m. UK time. We'll post the times when we go live. Every Tuesday we go live to give our review on each episode of Game of Thrones. Check that out. It's going to be a big episode next week, Eastwatch. And also the next coming months as well, when Defenders comes out, we'll have a review on that as well. So if you're into your TV, stick around.
Yeah, and thanks for listening, and we will see you again tomorrow.